Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the AJ Plays channel, and today we are going to be doing a little deep dive onto my predictions on the Toronto Blue Jays opening day roster. Now, again, as I've emphasized in the past, I am a fan of a lot of Toronto sports such as the Blue Jays, the Maple Leafs, and the Raptors, so I think that I decided maybe for a video before opening day happens to give my ideas of what the roster could potentially be looking like. I know a couple things have already been determined, but this is what I can see the roster looking to become as soon as the season starts. So without further ado, we are going to get started. Now, before we do anything, just want to clarify some of the statistics you might see. So IP is equals innings pitched, ERA is the earned run average, and WHIP is walks or hits per innings pitched for every pitcher. Okay, so those are all the pitching statistics. BA is batting average, HR is home runs, and RBI is runs batted in. Now, those are all the hitting statistics. WAR, wins above replacement, is another analytical metric or statistic that can be used to actually see like a player's value to a team. Say for example, we're going to get started. If you have a 3.2 WAR, then that's 3 more wins that you give your team rather than any other average player at that position. Let's get started with probably the pitchers. Now, rotation is probably the simplest out of everything here. Number 1 and 2 can be interchangeable. Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, both very solid pitchers. Gausman has spent a couple really good seasons with the San Francisco Giants. Recently just signed him this season. Going to be a fantastic co-lead to this rotation along with Jose Barrios. Barrios was given the nod for the opening day start. I think it could have been Gausman. I would have liked to see it be Alek Manoah, who, in my opinion, he's just a more fun pitcher to watch, but I'm not complaining. Barrios is fantastic. So again, both those guys are pretty much locks, along with Alek Manoah, who had a really strong rookie campaign on the mound. Last year, he did pretty solid. All 3 of those guys have WARs above 2.5. Kevin Gausman has a ridiculous one of 5.4 WAR. Fourth guy, I think he can also be number 3 and interchangeable with Alek Manoah, Hyun-Jin Ryu. A piece who's been with the Blue Jays now for this is his 3rd season, and I think he unfortunately stumbled a little bit toward the end of the finish line last year and did not finish the season strong. I'm looking for him to have a good bounce back season, and hopefully the start of his campaign is going to be a good one. Finally, Yusei Kikuchi, we recently signed. He has a similar WAR, and you know what? Like Ryu, both those guys, they struggled toward the end of the season last year. However, early on, they were like the aces of their rotation. They had some really nice stuff. So I think our 5, you know what? A couple can have off days, but I really think that there's a solid group in our starting 5. Now, the bullpen, I think the closer's pretty obvious. Jordan Romano, he had, I believe, 20 plus saves last year, 63 innings pitched, and 2.3 WAR. He's got the highest one out of the bullpen. Adam Simber, great acquisition, along with Corey Dickerson in exchange for Joe Panic last year. Fantastic move. Simber was a great setup man out of the bullpen. And I think that setup position can also be interchanged with Tim Meza every now and then. After coming back from injury last year, he had a really solid campaign, and he is one of the few pitchers here who has a WHIP under 1. Trevor Richards actually has one slightly lower, and he was another great acquisition that we got in exchange for Rowdy Tellez. Again, this year, the bullpen is actually more solidified, and I'm happy with that core 4 group of guys who are going to be really solid this campaign, hopefully. Julian Merriweather. If he stays healthy, I think his stats will be pretty dominant. He can be another force out of the bullpen, maybe like a mid-relief guy. His stats don't speak a lot because he was injured for a good chunk of last year. Early on, before he did get hurt, though, he was relatively solid. Ryan Barucki, I think he's most likely to make the team out of camp. I think he's going to be a part of the bullpen. He can also be considered a trade piece right now because I don't know. I am recording this on April 3rd, 2022. Right now, there's a lot of Jose Ramirez talks up in the air, so we'll see what happens. Nate Pearson. You know what? I really liked him out of the bullpen last year, and I'd love to see him start the season out there again because he was a really solid and effective relief arm, throwing 98, 99 miles per hour for a solid like inning or two to give us time to bridge the gap between our starters and then our back end relievers such as Simber or Romano. Ross Stripling, now 101 innings. This is because he pitched a lot as a starter last season, and I like what I see from him. He was actually relatively solid as a starter for the team. He just really couldn't land himself a proper position toward the end because with the acquisitions of Jose Barrios, Steven Matz staying solid, and Robbie Ray becoming an absolute threat and winning the Cy Young, there wasn't really a place for him in the rotation. Finally, Yemi Garcia, recently acquired 0.5 WAR and 1.16 walks or hits per innings pitched. It's manageable if you're a bullpen arm and you can get some innings down. I hope that you would be a solid acquisition. So I think he's going to make the team out of camp. Not too sure what can happen from there. Now, on the hitting end of things, there's a couple of long shots that I actually think would end up making the team. So we are going to start with the catchers. Danny Jansen and Alejandro Kirk. Both of these guys can hit. Jansen more for power, while Kirk can hit for contact and he can get on base more. They're both actually solid catchers in my opinion. Jansen is a really solid defensive catcher, and they both have WARs around 1. Now, because the Reese McGuire trade just happened not even 2 hours ago, this is actually perfect because now it's clear that Kirk and Jansen are going to be the the two catchers. Infielders, Bo Bichette, starting shortstop. This makes complete sense. 298 batting average, 29 home runs, 100 plus RBIs, 5.9 wins against above replacement. That's fantastic. Like, that's the second highest on the team this season. Utility player Kevin Biggio. Now, last year he was quite injured. He did not get a lot of time, but when he did, you know what? I think he can be an effective second baseman. He's going to be back in his position now. We're not forcing him to play third base. Hopefully he can play a lot of positions in the field. So I am hoping that he can bounce back. This one might be a long shot, but Greg Bird I have making the opening day roster. One, because we really don't have any backup like first baseman or power hitter off the bench. I think Greg Bird is that guy because we signed him and he's having a really solid spring with the team. Last year he didn't exactly play, but according to Baseball Reference, his 162 game average stats would actually be 28 home runs and 85 RBIs with a 0.9 wins above replacement. So that's honestly solid for a backup first baseman. I would not be mad if he makes a team. I'd honestly like to see him join the team. Third baseman Matt Chapman, again, he was an absolute steal. I am so happy that we have him on the team now. He had a bit of a down year, people are saying, last season, so I'm hoping he bounces back, but he's a great defensive third baseman, and I'm happy to see what he can do for the team. 3.5 wins above replacement, can't get much better than that. Well, unless, you're Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but anyways. Santiago Espinal, 311 batting average. He's actually going to be the backup. And that's what drives me nuts. He's going to be the backup third baseman or second baseman. He is such a solid young player. Solid piece. He can hit for contact. Only 2 home runs. As I said, he can hit for contact, not exactly for power. But out of someone who you really never had the highest expectations out of, Espinal is absolutely dominating and doing what we love to see out of a young third baseman. And that is just to, really just make a positive impact when the guys are out. He is leaving it all out there, made some fantastic defensive catches. I'm so happy to see what he can do this season. First baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, this should just not even make any... I don't even need to argue. Him and Espinal have actually the same batting average from last year, fun fact. Guerrero, 48 home runs casually, 111 RBIs, and pretty much a 7 wins above replacement. So, obviously he's going to make the team, man. He was second in MVP voting. Hopefully there's no Jose Ramirez trade that happens, and if it does happen, it doesn't involve Lourdes Gurriel. I have a personal attachment to Lourdes Gurriel Jr. I've watched this guy develop with the Jays over the last 4 seasons. I'm so happy that he's finally doing solid, and I just can't wait to see him hit some grand slams again, man. Oh my god, I'm so hyped for baseball to be back. But honestly, around the 3 wins above replacement for Gurriel, who didn't exactly hit the ball that much until late in the season. You know what? Honestly, solid batting average as well. Teoscar Hernandez, he got an all-star nod last year. He was really solid with almost a 300 batting average, around a 4 wins above replacement, and 30 plus home runs. He's really coming into his own, and I can't wait to see him dominate in the cleanup spot again this season. George Springer, I'm happy that he's returned. Hopefully going to be healthy. If he's healthy, then he's dominant. That's what we've seen last year. Springer was among many of the guys who were able to hit clutch home runs in times where we needed clutch home runs, so I'm happy to see what he can do for the team. And yeah, expect him to be the leadoff guy for the Jays. And Raimel Tapia, again, I need to know how to pronounce his name, but we just acquired him. I expect him to be the fourth outfielder for the team. Honestly, pretty solid. 50 RBIs, 273 batting average, and a 1.0 WAR exactly, so not bad whatsoever. I think he's probably a good, speedy depth fourth outfielder that the team would need. Lineup, what I think is going to look like. George Springer batting first, center field. He's your leadoff guy, makes sense. Second, Bo Bichette, shortstop, and third, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., first base. I would honestly rather see Guerrero bat third and Bichette bat second. Fourth, Teoscar Hernandez. He's going to be the cleanup guy. Batting fifth, Matt Chapman, our newly acquired third baseman. I'm happy that we actually did extend him in arbitration. That was a fantastic move. So he's going to be batting fifth, hopefully. Batting sixth, this again can be interchangeable, either Alejandro Kirk or Lourdes Gurriel, but I think I got Gurriel above him just because he's coming off a much stronger September than Alejandro Kirk. I wouldn't say much stronger, but definitely he left his impact. 7, Alejandro Kirk, designated hitter. We don't exactly have a designated hitter unless we're going to put Greg Bird in that position, but I think Kirk would actually be solid for that kind of role. Batting 8th, Kevin Biggio, and honestly, Santiago Espinal and him will split time at second base until Biggio's back on his feet properly. I'm hoping Biggio can bounce back from last season. And batting 9th, Danny Jansen as your catcher. If he's your number 9 and maybe your worst guy in the lineup, then you're doing fantastic as a team, because Jansen can still hit the ball he can give it a ride, he can get on base. We're going to have a solid year. I feel it. I'm ready for the Jays. These are my predictions. And what I'm predicting, World Series champion. I doubt it this year, but you know what? I'm hoping that with the expanded playoffs, we can make the playoffs. That should be the number one priority this season. Just make the playoffs like an actual 12-team format now. Let's go. Let's play ball. Let's go, baby. See you guys next time in the next video, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.